Thank you very much, Congressman McCarthy. Thank you for your great representation of California and Washington, D.C., and thank you for helping welcome us here to California. We are honored to be here, and I hope you'll join me in giving a round of applause to a great American success story, Gil Strappini and the whole company. Gil, thank you so much. You know, it's small businesses and manufacturers like Gil's company here that are really what make communities work, make economies grow. You've been in business now for more than 45 years, and every day, all those years, you've been making a difference in the lives of your employees, in the life of this community, and we're truly grateful. Let me say this morning, we're looking very much forward to a conversation with the families that are gathered with us today. The topic of our discussion is tax relief. President Trump asked me to come here to California. We've been traveling around the country because President Donald Trump is committed to work with the Congress and pass the largest tax cut in American history. And we're going to do it this year. I'll describe that in just a moment, but allow me to take a moment to address an issue that's affecting lives here in California. At this present moment, wildfires taking place here in California have destroyed more than 2,000 homes, and we just learned today of 10 people having lost their lives. The fires are going to continue. I spoke to Governor Jerry Brown this afternoon. The dryness of the climate, the strength of the winds, you all in California know much better than this Midwesterner does, but I can assure you, as I did the governor, that the federal government stands ready to provide any and all assistance to the state of California as your courageous firefighters and first responders confront this widening challenge. We're aware of the 15 fires currently burning across Northern California, and when we were in Southern California today, we saw additional wildfires. We're grateful for the firefighters, some of whom we met with today, who are literally putting their lives on the line to protect the people of California and protect property. I'm pleased to report the National Forest Service has dispatched 5 firefighting crews, 4 dozers, 2 strike teams of Type 3 engines, and we recently requested that the Congress would provide an additional $576 million for wildfire suppression expenses. It has been a challenging month and a half for natural disasters across this country, with hurricanes affecting Texas, the Gulf Coast, Florida, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. But I want to assure the people of California, on behalf of President Trump and our entire administration, that we will be working very closely with Governor Brown and with California to see you through these challenging times. And I want to say to the people of California and all of those that are in the path of these advancing wildfires, that we are with you, we are standing with you, and the American people will have the communities that are affected in our thoughts and in our prayers in the days ahead. Okay? Now with that, on to the topic of the day, and that is tax relief. The good news about the economy today is that this economy is already responding to President Trump's bold leadership. Optimism is at an all-time high among businesses of many categories around the country. We saw, after seeing less than 2% growth over the last 8 years, we saw 3% growth in the second quarter of this year. Working with leaders in Congress like Congressman McCarthy and others, we've been rolling back red tape. This president has already signed more bills cutting federal red tape than any president in American history. And we're just getting started. But you know, it's not just about regulation and red tape that gets in the way of companies like Strappini here. It's high taxes. And so that's why President Trump, working with the leaders of the House and the Senate, has crafted a plan to reduce taxes and launch what the president likes to call a middle-class miracle. Now, I want to hear what you all make of that from the standpoint of your businesses and your families. And I want to take that back. Congressman McCarthy and I do. I want to take that back to the debate in Washington, D.C. The outlines, very simply, are this. First and foremost, we're going to cut taxes on working families all across this country. We're going to ensure by doubling the standard deduction that the first $24,000 in income for families will be tax-free. We'll expand the child tax credit and we'll end death taxes once and for all. Secondly, we're going to simplify.
You can apply that.
Thank you. Secondly, we're going to simplify the tax code. I often reflect on the fact that it is said that the Code of Federal Regulations that it's often said that the tax code itself and our regulations are 10 times the length of the Bible with none of the good news. Right? So we're going to simplify the tax code. We're going to go from 7 marginal rates down to 3. We're going to lower taxes on working families, small businesses, ranchers, and family farms. In fact, after this tax reform legislation is signed into law, 90% of the American people will be able to fill out your taxes on one sheet of paper, saving our economy hundreds of billions of dollars in compliance a year. And thirdly, we're going to make sure that businesses can be more competitive, like Gilbert's business here in California. We're going to lower the corporate tax rate in America from one of the highest business tax rates in the world of 35% down to 20%. And we're going to make sure that small businesses that pay their taxes as individuals will also pay a lower rate of just 25%. That'll be the lowest rate on small businesses since 1931 when it becomes law. So all of this is part and parcel of the President's vision for tax cuts for the American people this year. But now we want to hear from you. We want to hear what's most important to you as we go into this debate. But I can tell you we're very encouraged that the Congress is moving forward with budget legislation that will create a framework for tax cut bills to be moving later this year. We're grateful to have your input and to have your insights as we go forward. President Trump is absolutely committed to doing everything in our power to let the American people keep more of what you earn and allow American businesses to be more competitive, to create more good-paying jobs all across California and all across this country. So we look forward to the conversation, and thank you for being here.
Hello. How are you?
Okay.
I'm Kevin.
So tell me who all these wonderful people are.
President.
Yes.
This is my daughter, Noelle.
Nice to meet you.
My wonderful granddaughter. What's your name?
I'm Chris Alston.
Chris?
Jason.
Jason. And of course, good to see you again. So tell me, we've talked a lot about your machinery here and about the jobs. What do these tax cuts mean to you? What's it going to mean here at Strapini Enterprises?
It will help put more money back in the till to be able to buy more equipment, expand the business, to continue to expand the business.
And create more jobs.
And more jobs.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough, we look out here and see we're trying to automate. The more we automate, the more jobs we create.
Right.
Because you need more people to back up the continued growing product you make.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
Why, Mommy?
What about that corporate tax rate? How do you view that? Because what you're making here, you're selling into a global marketplace.
I'm going to pass to Chris. He's another businessman.
I have another manufacturing company very similar to Gil, been in business about 5 years less.
That Papa a cloud.
My entire family works at my business, even my grandchildren. And so what's really important to us is to be able to pass it on. So the death tax is retarded. It was passed, clear the debt from the First World War?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's even dumber than the tire tax from the Second War. But it has another component to it. So if you're clever and you spend a lot of money like we have over the years, we gifted our entire stock structure business to my children years ago, which is the only strategy to get around it. But you can't do that if you got hit by a bus. So unless you can really have the luxury of real long-term planning, the death tax is a really bad thing. But the other thing that's really important in the manufacturing world is it's such a litigious society we live in that the amount of money that's required to make a manufacturing company, even a small one, is millions and millions of dollars. So you have your entire family fortune, like we do, tied up in a factory full of machinery. And so the only real decent strategy to protect yourself from it is you have to move your assets into another entity. Well, the passive active income deal makes that very, very difficult to manage. So we have to pay more tax because the income that our passive activity, which is really active activity, it's just crazy. And this is really important to me, that when they made the big last tax bargain and they invented passive and active income and the alternative minimum tax, we got hosed.
We get rid of that,
Right.
No more AMT.
Yeah, that needs to go, and the passive active income thing needs to go, because it makes it very difficult for companies like ours. That's our only strategy to protect our assets. So we have to hold them in another company, and then the corporation rents it from them. Well, that turns that into passive money, which we really actively earned, and now we don't get the
You want
passive
to
deductions.
talk about that part of the tax bill?
Yeah. So what we're looking at doing, we'll take care of the passive. We eliminate the AMT because that's crazy. And instead of spending weeks on filling out your tax bill, we're really talking about just keeping it to one. Another thing that we saw just touring here with Gilbert, the investment you make into manufacturing, but you have to depreciate that over 5 years. What if we let you 100% expense it?
Well, that's the Section 179 changes have been a godsend to us.
It helped, Tom.
Yeah, it was like a miracle. So it was even better where we used to get the investment tax credit in the 70s.
Right.
But the problem with it is that we have some incredibly sophisticated automated machinery. Even a company as small as mine has 3 pieces that cost over $1 million. The value's not high enough. It needs to get to be like $2 million.
Yeah.
But if we allow immediate expense.
Yeah.
We allow you, you're going to expense 100%.
Yeah, that would be tremendous,
Yeah.
because what that allows us to do
Yeah.
is every dime we make, we reinvest. We don't live
Right.
extravagant lifestyles, and we just, because our deal is, I understand that this is my grandchildren's future. If this company doesn't survive, they don't have a place to work.
Yeah.
But this will let you be able to compete, because you can make the investment now, expense it now, lowering the cost, being able to compete with everybody else around the world, adding more jobs, and the simplicity and the fairness of the tax code too.
Yeah, those things are all excellent.
I love this guy. We're taking him on the road.
I'll go with you.
Tell me.
Get my toothbrush.
Do you have any insights, any thoughts? What is this? What is in any aspect of these tax cuts? What resonates with you?
Well, I hadn't looked at much. My husband and I were researching a bit over the last few months. The only piece that I hadn't heard about were for ranchers and farmers. And so I'm wondering what it does, because I haven't looked into that piece of it, for people who get all of their livelihood or a portion of it. What does that do for those individuals? What does the tax?
The fear, well, what it'll do is, as the Vice President was talking about, we double the standard deduction. So my family comes from a ranching family too. Some years are better than others. So you get so much tax-free. A lot of that comes in an individual. We've simplified, instead of 7 rates, 3 rates. But the biggest fear a rancher has is the inheritance tax.
Right.
Because you're land rich, cash poor. And if someone is to die, the government now comes into you and tells you to sell half the ranch you have to keep what you already have, to pay a tax. We eliminate that. No longer will you have to worry about that. You will be able, as you made your investment, to pass it on to your daughter, to pass it on to the next generation as you work that land, and allow you to keep more of what you earn and expense it.
And what we're driving for is a full repeal. There's been relief of the death tax by the Congress for certain periods of time. We repealed death taxes when I was governor of Indiana. The President's driving toward a full repeal, so that death will no longer be a taxable event, and that's particularly meaningful to farmers and ranchers. And I think it's very significant. So, but also the last thing is just and we'll bounce to the next table, is the pass-through. I mean, most family farms out my way, I expect most ranchers out this way, file your taxes as individuals. And what we're going to do is lower the tax rate on subchapter S corporations, limited liability corporations, from oftentimes you're paying the highest rate, 39.6%, down to 25%. And so that's, again, more dollars to go back into that.
That's the lowest it's been for a small business in 80 years.
Isn't that great? Hope that helps.
For the next 10 years.
Well, we'll keep moving around here.
Thank you.
I could spend a lot of
Thank
time
you
on this table. Great.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great insights.
Very much.
Great. She can come back now if you want.
She wanted to use her microphone.
How are you? Very good to meet you. George. Donna.
Donna?
Pleasure to meet
Great.
Kevin, very good to meet you.
So
I saw
you're
you
a video
applauding.
production company.
That's correct.
Video SSC. You started 11 years ago. You got 11 employees. Donna's a local school teacher.
She is.
What's your, how do you view this tax cut proposal? What do
Any
you like?
tax cut.
What,
Any tax cut. Milton Friedman said it great years ago, right? If you lower taxes, everybody benefits. He said it a slightly different way, but if you lower taxes on individuals, on corporations, everybody benefits.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah. How about you? I saw you wave your hands when we talked about death taxes.
Yeah,
going away.
I just think that having the double taxation of a death tax is just immoral, honestly. I mean, I felt that way for a long time. We don't own farm property or anything that's affected that way, but I just think it's the wrong thing to do.
And it is double taxation.
It is.
It's really that's a
Yeah.
great way to look at it.
Yeah. You're taxed
You've
once.
already paid it once.
Taxed again.
Yeah, this is what we were just talking about. After you've paid all your taxes,
Yeah.
State, local, sales, federal, all your life, and what's left, the federal government comes in and taxes one more time.
And if you're a small business person, that $5 million threshold is not a big
Right.
threshold. I mean, you would hope that you would be more prosperous than that, in a business. So, but the real thing that I see happening with the tax cuts that are being talked about is, for us, it allows us to expand. We have one son that's moving the business into Texas. We're expanding here. We have one son that runs the crew chief here. We're moving into Alaska. So we have a lot of plans to do a lot of different kinds of work. And this kind of thing allows us to create new crews and get them out doing the things they need to do. Because every crew has to have full equipment, full gear, full support.
That's where 100% expensing first year will help you
That
expand.
sounds wonderful.
I like that.
Yeah.
And we're familiar with the 179 deduction
Yeah.
as well.
That's right.
We take advantage of anything we can to grow the business.
Yeah.
Because we'll hire more people. I mean, that's the goal. We want to hire more
Yeah.
people.
See, that's the thing that Washington a lot of times misses. I was in Congress with Congressman McCarthy for a number of years before I was a governor. And a lot of times the opponents of tax relief miss the point that small business owners like yourself want to grow the business. It isn't about just realizing more income. It's about taking that income and expanding and growing. And also what we see pretty consistently is there's a positive impact on wages.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I expect those employees at Video SSC are a little bit like your family.
Very much like
You'd like to pay them. You'd like to pay them more. You'd like to hire some more
Yes.
people.
We hear that.
You'd also
We-
like
we
to
do
pay them
hear
more.
that, yeah.
And because you want to keep good people once
Yes.
they're able to do the job. So,
Right. And we, as the people at the last table, we reinvest so much of what we make.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I think all small business people
Yep.
do. It's not that you're, going out and living life large. You do tend to reinvest pretty much everything,
Right.
to make it grow and to make it better for the next generation and to, take care of things. So
Yeah.
we appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Very, very true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
It's very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hi.
It's an honor to meet you.
What's your name?
Johnny Morales.
Hey, Johnny. Who's
My
this?
son Carlos.
Carlos. Good to meet you. You're congressman.
What was that?
He's a congressman from California.
Yes, sir.
He's also a very important leader in the Congress. He's actually the majority leader.
Yes, sir.
Congress of the United States. So you own and operate a small family pest control company,
Yes, sir.
Kingdom Pest Control,
Yes, sir.
and Tell me, you've heard a little bit of the outline of this tax cut. You may have read a little bit about it.
Yes, sir. Well, since we knew we were here, I decided to read a little bit more.
Good. Thank you. Tell me what you think.
I think it's great. When I spoke to your office, I mean, just as anybody says, any tax relief is always going to be an added blessing. For me, we're a really, really small company. I mean, a handful of people, mainly family, literally. But as we're growing, I mean, every dollar is an expense, especially when it's taxes. And we're in a heavily regulated state business, pest control, along with, termite work and things like that. And so when they announced that the corporate rate was going to come down, we've been wanting to incorporate, and so it literally it is a bigger incentive, but for the nation as a whole, I mean, it's a great idea because if we don't have the lowest rate, then where's the money going to go anyways?
Now, do you file your taxes as an individual at this point for the company?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So, and you could incorporate as a subchapter S corporation. That would still be the case.
Yes.
As you know. One of the things the president felt very strongly about is not only do we lower taxes on traditional, I call them C corporations or big corporations, that's what I call them, but that people that file as an individual also realize significant tax relief, and we're going to 20% on the big companies, and we're going to 25% on the pass-throughs because the C corporations still have the double taxation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That they face. So. I don't know if you run the calculator since you read up on this tax plan, but that could have a real impact on
it's going to have a real impact because, as I said,
how many trucks do you have?
Right now it's just 2 trucks, and technically 3.
That's right. So if we lower the rate, you're going to have more capital. If we expense within the first year, you can buy that and write that off in the first year.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have to do 5 years. You can expand.
And my wife and I were looking to buy a home, and so, anything that we can extra that we can put away or put it back into the business to grow it's going to be a blessing.
Yeah, that's great. Did you started the business?
No, my dad started it.
Oh,
I had a few years out doing my own thing for a little while, and so.
You going to join him, Carlos?
Maybe.
But yeah, my dad, he started the company, and so in the last couple of years, I've been really taking charge and trying to grow it. So it's direct impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to it.
That's great. Well, help is on the way.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And we're gonna lean into this. We're gonna work with this congressman and Congress to get this thing done.
Yes, sir.
And get it done this year.
Yeah, and if you can get it done locally too, that'd be great.
That might not be my area.
Federally, we're going to get it done.
No,
Yeah.
It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Great to meet you. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you, Carlos.
All right. Last but not least.
You're where the hat is.
I wear the hat is? Oh, you've seen those before. I have seen those before, and I like them every time I see them. Tell me your name.
Cheryl.
Cheryl, Mike.
Joe.
Joe, good to meet you.
Sandy Malini.
Sandy.
Vice President Mick Maloney.
Mick.
Maggie.
Hi, Maggie. What a beautiful family.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, there, you can have that hat.
Those are actually ours. We're taking those back.
You should be able to sign it.
We've got a hat for them.
Sandy, you're the owner of a retail software company.
Yeah, co-founded with hubby here.
Good. Called Big Hairy Dog.
Yes.
Started in 1993. You have 45 employees. So what does this tax cut we're talking about mean to your company?
So we really had a lot of fun with your Trump tax calculator. So we've analyzed a couple of different things. We've taken a sampling of our employees, and we plugged in their numbers that they would share with us their 2016 tax returns. And on average, they're saving about 40% on taxes. So everyone's completely thrilled.
They're excited.
Say that again.
Say it loud so everybody hears us.
So you calculated for your 45 employees.
We calculated ranging from people that made like 40,000 and then to our salespeople made maybe in the 6 figures, and on average some 41%, 42%, 43%. So it's real numbers. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah. So real bottom line savings.
Real bottom line for our people, like you said, they are our family. And we need them to stick around.
I'm guessing a good number of those folks would greatly benefit by a combination of doubling the standard exemption
Absolutely.
and the per child tax credit. That once that adds up, so your first $24,000 for a family is completely tax-free, which is double the current rate.
Which is just perfect.
And then expanding the per child tax credit.
It's right in our wheelhouse. I mean, our staff, what's the average age? Maybe late 20s, 30s, that kind of thing. So it's perfect. So you guys knocked it out of the park with that.
And we actually, during the 2016 election, we used your tax calculator to show them why they should vote for you and President Trump. So we really like your tax calculators.
We had a lot of Bernie stickers on the bumper. They just peeled them right off after we told them.
As soon as they heard that.
Yeah, vote with your pocketbook. And we are an S corp.
Yeah.
So we also
So you file as an individual.
So it's a pass through, and we also did an analysis on that, and we were very pleased to see that the company would be personally saving probably about 25% in taxes. As long as we get I don't know if there's any minimums on the pass.
So run that by me again. So you ran the calculator and you found that of your 45 employees, there's roughly a 40% real tax savings.
Right, and we used their real tax.
We used their real
You actually
income.
looked at
Each one.
Well, we asked them.
Yes, they gave you that information, and so you calculated it. And for the company, the bottom line savings of reducing the pass-through rate from wherever you're filing now, which is probably 39.65,
And I got you guys a little printout.
down to 25 is
about between 25 and 35%. I actually analyzed 2013, 14, 15, 16. So it's unbelievable for us because we've been paying at a 40% tax rate as an S corp.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in California,
Over 50%.
13.5.
Yeah.
So
on top.
we're just thrilled.
Yeah.
That's
We'd like to see the tax.
Which is a little bit of a concern if we can throw that at you. As you know, we get the deduction on the state tax, right? And that, I think, is going away.
What we do is for the state and local, but you'll see when we come out with the income levels and how we deal with property tax, you're going to get a big savings still. And when you sit out to write a tax plan that's fair to the entire country, you can't have one offset the others. And when you and I know we live in California, where they spend this money.
Oh, yeah.
A train to go to nowhere. They're wasting money. And we find that the federal government's not going to do that. You're going to get a tax cut of more than 20-some%. And we're going to put this country on a fair path to the future.
And if we did get the taxable, California taxable, it increases that significantly. I mean, we could really expand our business.
So tell me, what do you do?
Keep thinking about that.
So what do you do with that? I heard you, and I appreciate you sharing
We expand our business. We hire people. We have a computer software company. You can't have too many techs. You can't have too many, trainers out there helping your clients. So we would love to be able to expand, and that's a pretty expensive profession to find people in that industry. So, right here we could probably add one person pretty quickly.
So your analysis, this is money in the pocket of your employees.
Oh, this is
average of 40% savings.
What you guys are doing is incredible. Yeah.
And a 25% savings to your company in real.
Right, because we don't get that now. There isn't a pass-through with the S Corp. Yeah.
Right.
And you're saying that's hiring more people. I keep reading, and you can expand the business. But also, wages have been flat now for more than a decade across the country. Right. Tech is different, obviously. Tech is. We saw a lot of growth in the tech sector in Indiana when I was governor, and so it accelerates more rapidly there. But do you think this also has an impact for most businesses on wages?
Absolutely. And, of course, you guys just gave them a pay raise, too. Thank you.
Right. Through the tax cut itself.
Through the tax cut.
Yeah.
But you bet. I mean,
exactly.
It's hard to keep good people, so it's important that they're, paid properly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great.
We appreciate it.
Wow. We need to take these people on the road.
I think this whole group needs to go on the road.
This whole team is great.
You can sell it much better than we can on explaining where it's at.
How about you? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is as a single woman, for me to be able to buy my own home and all that, it's more towards that and my own retirement for me.
Right.
So if we doubled what you can keep tax-free, that helps you for the down payment to buy a home. We keep the interest deduction for your house, so you get to continue within there. We keep the charitable. But you no longer will have to spend weeks filling this out. Because as the Vice President tells you, it's going to be on a postcard like this that you'll be able to fill out your...
Yeah, we think 90%, I got some applause for that back here. 90% of Americans will be able to file their taxes on one sheet of paper. We really believe that.
I'm actually going to frame my return when I do it. So.
Yeah.
Over the fireplace.
That's going to be fantastic.
Great. Well, listen, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
This was really helpful.
And thank you for the amazing job you and President Trump are doing.
You guys are killing
Honor,
it.
yes.
I love it.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
Keep charging.
Do you know what they've been able to do? People haven't seen this. The amount of regulation that has gone on the last 8 years, they've been able to bring common sense, cut it faster than even Ronald Reagan did. In these first 9 months, they've done something no other Congress could do.
Yeah.
They've cut the Federal Register by 1/3. This is going to, with the tax code over that, and growth, 3%. We hadn't heard of 3% in the last 8 years. We haven't seen
You're
it.
up. You're up.
This is the first, we used to say flat is the new growth in California.
No longer.
So we're actually up a little bit, so thank you very much.
That's great. Great job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Excellent.
We wanted to give you a little victory out here.
Oh, that's
And I have these
Give
numbers.
me a handshake.
Oh, fantastic. No, I'd love that.
Look at it with you, yeah.
Yeah.
Great to meet you, thank you.
Thank you, Vice President.
Okay, I just have to ask, how'd you come up with the name? You had a dog?
Yeah, we got dogs. Yeah, big hairy dogs. Yeah.
Our customer, not the
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Jason?
Well, let me begin by simply saying thank you. Thank you to these outstanding families who are here, to Johnny Morales and his son Carlos who are here. Young entrepreneur taking over his father's business who sees opportunities in this tax cut to really expand your business, hire more people, live the American dream. We're proud of you. Sandy Milani and her husband Michael, who are here with this extraordinary retail company, and I talked about having literally run the calculator with this tax cut, that your employees would realize a bottom line savings of 40% on average, and your company would realize a 25% savings, that you'd be plowing back into hiring more people and growing the company. And George Hall and his wife Diana, a small video production company, we heard the same. The opportunity to put more dollars down. You said your son wants to expand in another state, and having teams of people around you that are well trained, the ability to hire more people is where you'd put those additional tax dollars. And of course, Gilbert Strapini and his wonderful family, being able to talk about being able to purchase and realize more of the kind of equipment here that brings more jobs and more opportunities. All of this has been extremely helpful and extremely valuable, and I'm very grateful. Could the people that are looking on give all these families and businesses a big round of applause? They've really done a great job. I just want to promise the people of California, President Trump and I are committed to working with Congressman McCarthy, all the leadership in the House and in the Senate, to bring real tax relief to the American people this year. Our tax plan is about more jobs, it's about higher wages, and it's really about the American dream and making sure that more Americans can live the American dream in their own time. So let me thank these job creators who are gathered here today. Let me thank these great families. Thank the good people of California. Thank Congressman Leader McCarthy, and of course thank our great host Gilbert Strapini today. Thanks very much, folks, and I promise you we're going to get this done, and we're going to get this done this year, okay?